Hi everybody, my name is Monotui, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my draft for the PPL Division 2. If you don't know, the PPL Division 2 draft occurred about a week ago. Me and 11 other coaches picked the 8 to 11 Pokemon that they wanted on their team. Some of us got sniped, some of us didn't. Stuff happened, it was fun. If you don't know what the PPL is, it is the Pokemon Premier League. It's based off some European sport group or some shit, I don't know. But the PPL Twitter and YouTube will be in the description, and the list of the 11 other coaches will also be in the description below, so check all of those things out, please. It would be very helpful. And I'm just going to jump right into my draft. So, to start off, I wanted one of three Pokemon. I wanted Victini, because Victini, I think, is the best Pokemon in League format, hands down. I wanted Mew, because Mew is also incredible in this format, and I wanted Manaphy. And if you didn't know, I was seeded to pick last, and that's actually a pretty good thing in a snake style format, because once it gets to me, I get to make my pick, and then I get to pick again. So, that is mostly beneficial for me, but it also comes with one downside being, once I make my picks, I have to wait 23 turns to make another pick, so there's a good chance of me getting sniped in that time period. And because I'm last to pick in the first round, I'm probably not going to be able to get the exact Pokemon I wanted, which again, is not the worst thing in the world. I can work around that. So, again, first pick Victini, second pick Mew. I believe Chaos got Victini and Kelly picked Mew, so that left me with Manaphy, which had gone unpicked first round up until the point where it was time for me to pick. So, for my first round pick, I decided to go with the all-powerful Manaphy. Properly named Womanaphy, because, you know, I'm not a sexist bitch. Manaphy is incredible, both in OU and in League format. It has access to Tail Glow, which is the greatest, probably one of the best setup moves in the entire game. It makes things like Surf, Ice Beam, Psychic, Energy Ball, one-shot, pretty much everything. You really need a dedicated switch into Manaphy, which is something a lot of teams just don't have. There are very few things that are dedicated switch-ins to Manaphy, even in standard play as well. Also, I can run this thing bulky, or I can run it offensive. For example, offensive fire types are very common in this League format. Typhlosion, Victini, Darmanitan, Entei, things like that. I can beat all of them with the right Manaphy set. For example, Choice Banded Entei, I switch into Manaphy. Worst case scenario, I get burned. I'm only going to take about 30 to 35%, maybe 30 to 40, I'm not entirely sure of the calc, but I'm going to take under half from the hit. I'm going to get leftovers, I'm going to get weakened by burn, and then I can set up a Rain Dance. And what this does is, I can then rest, which will get rid of, all the damage I took. Or it will just get rid of the burn, because of Manaphy's ability, Hydration. It is just a great, great first round pick. And, Kelly was kind of complaining that, I sniped the shit out of him, which, I did. I walked up to around his house, put my gun on a hilt and just went right into his face. But Manaphy, although it had not been drafted first round in the PPL before, I think it's very capable of being a first round pick. And the thing about first round picks is it varies for a lot of different people. People have different preferences on what type of Pokemon they want first round, but in my opinion, a first round pick should be something that you can bring to every single match, and your opponent still shits their pants when they see it. For example, I know, suppose I'm playing Chaos, I'm pretty sure they're going to bring Victini against me, and I can plan for it however I want to, but they can still bring a set that will completely screw me over. Mew, I have no idea what that thing is going to run, so it's going to be hard to plan for it. I just have to hope that I can deal with it with the team I have. I can try and predict what moves they're going to bring, but it's going to be very difficult. Manaphy, I think, fits that role very well, because with special move coverage that it has, and Tail Glow, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. Now, let's see if I missed anything. No, that's about it. Also, something I want to mention, Manaphy gets access to Knock Off U-Turn. Kind of decent utility moves if I don't need the extra special coverage. I've spent a lot of time on Manaphy. It's the #1 pick. I feel like it deserves its time in the spotlight. And again, because I'm in a snake style draft and I'm last, I get to pick my next pick right away. And I decided to go with a Mon that offensively complements Manaphy very well, and a Pokemon that I think is very, very good in the format as well. Something that could go for Rapid Spin, something that can set up Stealth Rocks, and I decided to go with the best Rapid Spinner in the game, in my opinion, and many others' opinion, Excadrill. Properly named Digaplease the Excadrill. I'm just going to line this up. By the way, I apologize if this looks like it's set up like a shitty high school PowerPoint. It is. Not even on PowerPoint, I'm just using WordPad, which is basically a shitty version of Microsoft Word. But anyway, I picked Excadrill. Now, Excadrill, although not really as versatile as some other early picks, it does what it does extremely, extremely well. Its physical coverage that it has, Iron Head, Earthquake, Rock Slide, X-Scissor, Poison Jab, things like that, allow it to hit everything very, very hard. Pretty much everything very hard. Switch-ins to it include things like Bulky Landers, T, Ferrothorn, things like that, but things like those I also deal with very well with Manaphy, so this forms a very nice offensive core around Manaphy. It can Rapid Spin hazards away. It is, I think, the best Rapid Spinner, primarily because it's immune to Toxic Spikes, it is 4 times resistant to Stealth Rocks, things like that. It can also set up rocks. It's the only Pokemon, I believe, that can set up Stealth Rocks versus Mega Sableye or Espeon. At least the only Pokemon in the PPL. I'm not sure if Rampardos was picked. But yeah, Excadrill is just a great, great, great Pokemon. It hits things very hard. It's a switch into Fairies. Clefable without Fire Blast is completely walled by it. Sylveon is pretty heavily walled by it, and it can hit them back very hard with an Iron Head. It has very powerful dual stab. What else? Let's see. Oh yes, the 2 abilities it has are great, great abilities. I can run Sand Rush and, set up the sand with something and have it outspeed and murder everything. I could also run something like Mold Breaker and be able to hit things like Rotom super effectively with an Earthquake. I can hit Levitators, things like Claydol. I can hit not super effective with Earthquake, but I can hit them with Earthquake and it's going to do a lot of damage. It is just a great, great Pokemon, and it synergizes so well with Manaphy, and I'm very happy I was able to pick it up second round with Manaphy. Now, after my Excadrill pick, I had to wait for everybody else to go, and everybody else to go again, and then it had to come back to me. And at this point, I believe 23 Pokemon were chosen, and so I was left with still a good amount of Pokemon. And I decided to go with my Mega. And this is a Mega that has been showcased on my channel on multiple occasions, both in the NPT and in a couple lives. It is a Pokemon that I think is one of the best Megas in League format. I think it's better than Mega Pinsir, I think it's better than Mega Lopunny, I think it's better than Mega Diancie, Mega Gardevoir. I think it has potential to sweep teams' entire rosters. I think it can sweep a lot of people's entire roster. And I decided to go with Mega Aerodactyl, properly named Wing Lizard. I wanted to go NASCAR Wing Lizard, but that doesn't fit on Pokemon's name ability thing. Mega Aerodactyl, I think I downplayed a little bit in the NPT. Unfortunately, one match I just stacked it off for no reason to a Thundurus, and the other matches it didn't do too much. But Mega Aerodactyl can really, really hurt an opponent. Its physical move pool is so much wider than people think. It gets Stone Edge, Aerial Ace, the Elemental Fangs, so Thunder Fang, Ice Fang, Fire Fang. It gets Aqua Tail, it gets Crunch, it can be a Pursuit Trapper. It also has access to things like Taunt, Stealth Rocks, Roost. It can be more utility, it can be Stall Breaker. It can do a lot of different things. Its special attack is not good, but good enough to run random hidden powers that are 4 times super effective. Something like, I don't know, Swampert can run HP Grass 4 if I want to. It's just incredible. Also, something very important that I like about it is because nobody drafted Mega Alakazam, this is the fastest Pokemon in the entire PPL Division 2. It outspeeds Mega Lopunny, it outspeeds Jolteon. It outspeeds everything. So if anybody wants to outspeed this thing, I either have to fuck up my EVs, or they have to run a Choice Scarf. And there are not that many Scarfers that can one-shot a Mega Aerodactyl, so that is very good. Those things include like Scarf Steel types, which I already have Excadrill, so that's a good benefit to me. It outspeeds a lot of other Scarfers, like it outspeeds Scarf Bisharp, it outspeeds Scarf Base 80s. It is just an incredible Pokemon, incredibly fast, incredibly powerful. And it fits very well with Manaphy and Excadrill, and that is a big reason why I picked this thing. And now, I had to pick right away again, and I actually decided to dig into my bulky options, and I decided to dig in a little bit to the lower tiers. And with Manaphy, and with Excadrill, and with Mega Aerodactyl, I decided I wanted a bulky grass type. And I was thinking actually Leafeon for a little bit, but Leafeon's kind of not garbage in League format, but it's not really as good. And I actually decided to go with our Lord and Savior, Santa Christ, the Tangrowth. Now, let me just line that up properly, gotta be official. Alright, now, Tangrowth is primarily known in RU for its ridiculous physical bulk. It's so hard to kill with Regenerator. It just switches in, takes a physical hit, and then switches out. It can take a V-Crate from Victini if it's not Choice Banded. That's disgusting. It switches in, it takes a hit, it switches out, it gets its Regenerator back. And not only that, but this thing is really immune to setup with its move pool. It has very good physical and special coverage. It gets things like Knockoff, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Power Whip, Poison Jab, I believe. And its special coverage is equally as powerful: Giga Drain, Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, Focus Blast, Ancient Power. It can really hit things hard as well if I want to run it offensively. With its move coverage, there aren't many switch-ins, which its ability to run a hidden power, things like Ferrothorn, are not safe. And Tangrowth can really just be run. I apologize, there's someone riding a motorcycle back there. I hope they run into a pole. Although its special attack, or special defense, is a little bit weak, for one, I can make up for that later on with other picks. And I can run something like Assault Vest, or I can run max special defense, because its physical defense is already good enough. Like, it doesn't need investment a lot of the time, so I can run a lot of that in special bulk. Tangrowth is a Pokemon I think fits my team very, very well, and it's a Pokemon I think is going to be very useful. It's very versatile, and it has very good utility in it. Let's see, did I miss anything? No. Also, it pairs very well with Manaphy, if I didn't mention that earlier. Resists Electric, resists, yeah, it's good. Resists Ice. No, it doesn't. Manaphy does. I'm retarded. Anyway, fuck it, I'm ruining everything. I picked Togetic for my next pick. Togetic, I think I picked this a little bit too early because I don't think anybody was really interested in it. Actually, no, I forget who was interested. Whoever had Mega Altaria was interested in it, and I kind of sniped that from him, so I'm glad I got this when I did. Togetic, with an Eviolite, is very, very bulky. It eats up unstab hidden powers. It can really take a plethora of different hits. It is a defogger. It can run Nasty Plot. I can run Baton Pass, so it can run Baton Pass. It can get a slow Baton Pass off, which is very useful as well with my team. It can slow Baton Pass, things like a Nasty Plot. It can set up Tailwind if I wanted to. It's got a little bit more utility than I think people give it credit for. It can also take on other Steel types with things like Fire Blast. I can run more supportive with Thunder Wave. I think it's a very good Pokemon, and even though I think it could be better, I think it fits my team pretty well. It works very, very well with Excadrill. It's a Pokemon that, although I don't see myself bringing every week, I think when I bring it, it's going to have a very specific role that it will take on, and I think it can really benefit my team. Also, I did want a Fairy type. This thing, not the best, I guess, Fairy type, because other dragons have coverage moves for it. Like, other dragons can run like a Steel or a Poison move, but if it's Unstab, I should be able to take one and hit it back. Togetic, I think, is just a very good Pokemon. And if you've played, if you played early NU when Togetic was first around, you know that this is a bitch to kill. It's just fat as hell. It also gets access to Wish, which is also very useful. Now, for my next pick, again I got to pick right away, I wanted a fighting type, and although at the time I was thinking Conkeldurr, because Conkeldurr was still available. Conkeldurr actually didn't go drafted throughout the entire draft. Conkeldurr did not do a couple of things that my pick did. I wanted something that, although it is a fighting type, it could take on fairies very well. I wanted something that could take on ice types pretty well, because my team is a little bit ice weak. And I actually decided to go with Rick Ross the Hariyama. Now, as you can tell from this picture, it is a fat fucker. Like, look at these thighs. This looks like that episode of SpongeBob where Squidward goes into like the Krabby Patty vault and he starts eating all the Krabby Patties. You know, you remember that. Then he explodes. Good times. Anyway, Hariyama has an excellent physical move pool. Close combat, knock off the elemental punches, earthquake, rock slide, things like that. It has access to 2 forms of priority in fake out and bullet punch. They're unstab and they're not going to hit things too hard, but they are priority, and priority does help. It has 2 very, very good abilities in Thick Fat and Guts, and Guts makes your opponent play a little bit differently. For example, suppose I'm in with my Excadrill against my opponent's whatever gets Will-O-Wisp. You could go for a Will-O-Wisp to potentially burn and cripple my Excadrill, but if I go right out into my Hariyama, that's going to be a pretty big issue for them, because Guts boosted close combat kills shit a lot. Yeah, kills shit a lot. It kills shit. It just straight up murders shit. Not only that, but with an Assault Vest, I can take one special attacking fairy type attack, like a Moonblast from a Clefable or even a Hyper Voice, and I can retaliate back with something like a Poison Jab or a Heavy Slam. Hariyama hits extremely hard, and I think for my team specifically, I think it fits a little bit better than Conkeldurr. Also, another reason I picked this over Conkeldurr is because this was just cheaper than Conkeldurr. That's, you know, price is important in picking a draft, and this thing was a little bit cheaper. Now, once again, my pick ended. I picked Hariyama. We got like 23 going this way and back, whatever. I don't know what I'm doing in the webcam. It's like the second video I've done with webcam, but 23 other Pokemon were picked, I believe. If I'm doing my math wrong, go fuck yourself. And it came back to me. And I wanted a Pokemon... I wanted a fast electric type, because if you've ever watched a League format match before, you know fast electric types are very good. Things like Raikou, Thundurus, Jolteon all do very, very well in League format, and they've all done well in the past. Now, I did want Jolteon at first because I wanted the extra speed, and I wanted the electric immunity, but I forget who took it, but somebody took it a little bit before that, so that was unfortunate. I was thinking Lantern for a little while, because I do like Lantern a lot. It's very specially bulky, but I felt like Lantern didn't really do enough for me. Could be a Cleric with Heal Bell, but it is also potential setup fodder. Lantern is really not that strong, and certain things can get pretty free setups on it, and I really didn't want that. So I decided to go with an offensive electric type, and an electric type that gives me a water immunity. It gives me a pretty safe switch into things like Vaporeon or Suicune, and a Pokemon with a very good special move pool, especially for a fast electric type. And I decided to go with the Sun Lizard himself, Godzilla the Heliolisk. Now, with the release of Oris, Heliolisk got access to Hyper Voice, which is also very good coverage for it, because there are not that many ghost types in my division. I think there's only 3 in the entire division too. And this is one of those electric types that, depending on the coverage I run on it, things like Claydol or even, what are other ground types? I guess Donphan are not switch-ins, because every time they switch in, they risk me going for Grass Knot or Surf, which are 2 KOs. It also gets access to U-turn, so something like Hippowdon switches in. I don't have to go for a Volt switch, risking him coming in. I can go for a U-turn, get out of there, bring in something else to deal with Hippowdon. Hippowdon was not drafted, so this is an entirely irrelevant conversation, but, you know, whatever. Heliolisk has a very good special move pool. Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Hyper Voice, Dark Pulse, Surf, Grass Knot, Focus Blast. Dark Pulse, I don't know if I said that, gets Dragon Pulse. It also has 2 very good abilities. I'm not going to count Sandbell, because fuck Sandbell. But 2 very good abilities. In Dry Skin, which makes me immune to water type attacks, which is very useful. And Solar Power, which, again, if I decide to run some sort of Chlorophyll Tangrowth, I can run Solar Power Heliolisk as well. And those are 2 very powerful mobs. Heliolisk also gives me a check to Aqua Jetting Crawdaunt. It gives me a check to Belly Jet Azumarill. It gives me a switch into ghost type attacks like Shadow Ball, things like that. It also prevents things like Doublade from sweeping. I don't know if Doublade was even picked, but you know, man, this is a great analysis video. I'm glad you guys are watching. Yeah, so that's Heliolisk. And after Heliolisk, I decided I needed a switch into a fighting type attack because I have Heliolisk, I have Excadrill, and I really don't have much for fighting types. They just kind of rip me apart at the moment. And I decided to go with something that also gets Stealth Rock, something that can gain initiative with U-turn, something that can paralyze other things. And I decided to go with Uxie, properly named Asian Child because its eyes are partially closed and I'm a racist fuck. So, Uxie is bulky on both sides. It's got base 130 defense, base 130 special defense. Its special attack and attack are kind of lacking at 75, but it's really not meant to be offensive. I can run it offensive if I want to, with like Calm Mind and Psychic and things like that. It gets access to Knockoff, which is extremely useful. It gets access to U-turn, like I said. It's another Stealth Rocker, so I don't have to run Stealth Rocks on something else. It's also, Uxie is one of those things that can switch into things that nothing else can really switch in on. Like, for example, Mega Medicham does like 60 to 70% physically defensive Tangrowth. It's disgusting. It can carry Ice Punch for my Togetic, or Heavy Slam, something like that. It doesn't get Heavy Slam, something else might get Heavy Slam. Anyway, Uxie is a safe switch into a lot of things, and that's something I really need. A good pivot. Something I can take a hit, get off a slow U-turn, and then go into something to revenge kill. It's just a very good mod. It fits my team perfectly, and I'm very happy with it. I'm very surprised it was even there. I did originally want Mesprit, but it got taken, and Uxie is honestly a better choice for my team. I think Uxie is better than Mesprit for my team specifically. Sorry, Shoddy. So anyway, after this, we're getting down to my last couple of picks. My team's looking very solid, but I realize I don't have a fire type. And I actually, at first, because I do like electric immunities, you can't really have enough electric immunities, I really wanted Nidoking, because Nidoking was still available at the time. I thought everybody forgot about it. It's a beast in the format. There are very few switch-ins, if any. Things like Blissey, chance to get hit by Superpower. It can be run physically offensive, it can be run specially offensive. It's just extraordinarily powerful. I'm stuttering over my words. That's how powerful it is. It does everything. It has priority Sucker Punch. It can go Crunch for Slowking. And it got taken, which honestly sucked because I didn't really get sniped for the whole draft. I had I picked Heliolisk over Jolteon. Because Jolteon got picked, but this was the first snipe, I would say, because I thought nobody would pick it, I thought everybody forgot about it, and there it went. But that's okay, because at the time I needed a fire type anyway, and I took a fire type that not only is very offensive, it can be run bulky as well, it gets access to Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, things like that. Also, on my team, I lack a little bit of special offense. There's Heliolisk and there's Manaphy, that's about it. And I decided to go with the spookiest of lamps, Chandelure. Now, Chandelure is a fire immunity as well, so it stops something like Victini from spamming V-Create. It can also hit behind subs if I decide to run Infiltrator. I can be a cunt and run Flame Body. That's always an option. It's an excellent choice user, choice Scarf, choice Specs. It can also set up things like Sub and Calm Mind. those things can beat things like Chansey. It's also got a pretty good special move pool. It gets, Fire, Shadow, Ball. Yeah, Fire, Shadow, Ball. Yeah, that's a good move. It gets Fire coverage. It gets Ghost Stab. It gets things like Energy Ball. I believe it gets... I'm not entirely sure what else it gets. I never really needed anything else. Whatever. It gets what it gets. It's good. There aren't many switch-ins to Chandelure. Hydreigon is one. That's true. Oh, yes. Chandelure is a Ghost type, so it is immune to normal type attacks, and it's immune to Rapid Spin. It is a spin blocker, which can come in very good handy because I have a spinner, so I don't have to rely on Defog to get rid of my own hazards. So a safe switch into Chandelure is going to be warranted a couple times just to keep my hazards on the field, which is very good because a lot of teams only have a Rapid Spinner, which, because I have a Chandelure, not going to work. Next up, I have my last pick. I could have gone for something else after this, like a $2 million pick, but there aren't really that many $2 million picks that were worth it. And I decided to go with something that, again, could be run offensive or defensive, something that can set up more hazards like Toxic Spikes. And looking at my team, I need a knockoff switch in. I have Hariyama, but I don't really want to lose my Assault Vest in a lot of situations, or my Flame Orb if I'm running that. And I decided to go with a Pokemon that could learn knockoff itself, something that can Pursuit Trap, and something that fits my team well, again, of course. And I decided to go with Drapion. Richard Nixon the Drapion. Drapion is one of those Pokemon that, again, I don't think I'll bring to every match, or even that many matches, but something that when I bring, it's going to do a very good job at whatever it's going to do. Because I have a Spin Blocker, Toxic Spikes are going to be very useful for my team. This thing gets access to Knockoff. It's pretty fast. Base 95 is not bad. Its attack stat isn't great, but because it does get stat Knockoff, it'll still be able to hit things relatively hard. It's a pretty good check to a lot of fairies. I know the Dark typing makes fairy attacks neutral, but I have stat poison coverage for it. And Drapion, I think, fits my team pretty well. I also have another Psychic immunity. It's a decent physical wall. It doesn't have recovery, but it can switch in certain things. It can set up... I can also run it fully offensive if I wanted to. I could go with the Sniper Scope Lens crit set, Night Slash, Cross Poison, things like that. I do believe it gets Earthquake, don't quote me on that, but I can run Earthquake on it for certain things. Also, Drapion gets access to Whirlwind, so while I can potentially Hazard Stack with certain things and then Whirlwind them out, it just fits my team very, very well. And I'm very happy with the last pick that I got in Drapion. I think it's actually pretty underrated in League format. And yeah, that's my entire draft. Basically, I have $2 million left that I didn't end up spending. I decided to just save it. Potentially, if I wanted to drop something for something else, I can get the value of that Pokemon, both the $2 million and take something else. I also have the ability to trade if I want to, and maybe something pops in my head later on that I could just pick up for $2 million. Like, I don't know. Look out for Beartic. Could get Beartic. That's $2 million. Beware of that. What does anybody have for a well-played Beartic? Anyway, I'm going to quit rambling, because I know I did a lot of that this video. I went over a lot of things. I just wanted to explain everything that was going on in my head. My very dirty, fucked up head. So, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys are rooting for me, we are the Tampa Bay Luxrays. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said earlier, check out the PPL channel, check out the PPL Twitter, and check out everybody in the links in the description. Those are the other coaches of the PPL Division 2. And have a nice day, everyone.